Many of us here in this room today have many memories of Fannie Lou Hamer. The most vivid in my mind is the first meeting in 1964 in the Masonic Temple in Jackson, Mississippi of the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, keynoted by Mrs. Ella Baker, who's here today. And following that keynote and true to the traditions of national Democratic conventions and Republican conventions, Mrs. Hamer led the singing for the demonstration, saying and singing, "Ain't gonna let nobody turn us round." And I remember that so vividly because that was the time of the Neshoba County incident, and it was that same day that I had to drive from Jackson to Memphis at night alone. With her, I was no longer afraid.
Mississippi is still a very rough place. People is not just walking up like they used to do in the past, walking out, shooting a man down or getting maybe 200 or 300 people carrying you out and lynching you, but it's in a more settled way. They can let you starve to death, not give you jobs. These are some of the things that's happening right now in Mississippi. See, Mississippi is not actually Mississippi's problem. Mississippi is America's problem. Because if America wanted to do something about what has been going on in Mississippi, it could have stopped by now. It wouldn't have been in the past few years between 40 and 50 churches bombed and burned. You see, and this leads me to say, all of the burning and bombing that was done to us and the houses, nobody never said too much about that, and nothing was done. But let something be burned, by a black man, and then, my God, you see, the flag is drenched with our blood. Because you see, so many of our ancestors was killed because we have never accepted slavery. We had to live on it, but we've never wanted it. So we know that this flag is drenched with our blood. So what the young people are saying now, give us a chance to be young men, respected as a man. As we know, this country was built on the black backs of black people across this country. And if we don't have it, you ain't gonna have it either, because we gonna tear it up. That's what they saying. And people ought to understand that. I don't see why they don't understand it. They know what they've done to us. All across this country, they know what they've done to us. This country is desperately sick, and man is on the critical list. I really don't know where we go from here.
We gonna keep on striving. You better learn to fly. You better learn to fly. We will get what is ours in time. We should be gonna survive. Yeah. We should be gonna survive. We will get what is ours in time.
Let me talk.
I feel different when I think about my lineal lines. It suits Negroes to try to match our lineal ties. Cause flying was always something we wanted to do. but we stayed grounded here, so we applied it to shoes, applied it to clothes. Turn something from the mud, turn it to gold. That was straight from my ancestors' soul. But if we wanna soar, we gotta walk a path longer than our people did after the Civil War. Gave them everything we had, and they still want more. Free labels, institutions, inventions, both world wars, only to come home and not rewarded for our sacrifices. When we bring it up, they claim we devices. Saying that was so long ago, ancient history. But our parents weren't allowed to certain facilities based off race and lineage. Insanity, they don't care, cause it didn't happen to their family. They slander we. Only gets harder as we see the days pass, cause they rule you out when you descend from a slave caste. Yet we ascend through strength. Wasn't a plan for we to reach levels higher than the Amazon canopy. The pain of James Brown stringing on the song or the soul of Miles Davis blowing on his horn. In order to get our position fulfilled, we must complete the house that Cali begun to build.
All so-called social problems tend to merge. They all have to do with human action and are based on human customs and treat the numerous and intricate relations of human beings.
Hey, look, my word is bond. It always has been.
It's called AAVE, a language that was birthed out of anguish and hurt, stripped of many things that were known as familiar but still kinda remembered, and build a dialect out of non-existent pillars. Oh Lord, the tongue is mightier than the sword. We had to express our pain, weaponizing our vocal cords. You can't understand us, that's the point. Good, we know. Crackers don't understand us, speaking fast, they say we slow. So that's white fragility, mental instability, insecurity to justify the things that they did to we. That's why you feel the pain and rhythm when you hear it speak. And our icons shake you up when they give a speech. Retain certain things from certain African language. Took and flipped things from poor Irish into English. Native American words added, put it in the pot, sprinkled our pain on top, and then it became I'm so tired. Call it AAVE. We express our soul when we do speak. I'm so tired. I prefer to call it BAVE. You can hear the feeling when we speak. Wait up a second. Hold on, what you say? My ancestors survived so I could be here today. Use they smarts to survive, yet they question our intelligence, using our speech against us when they know that it's irrelevant. Teach our history wrong, just depend on who telling it. Don't wanna admit our greatness, cause that room can't fit the elephant. Got tricks, beat you in debate, then we code switch. Go back amongst our own, speaking our dialect and talk shit. Pain, I embrace it, like joints that been spraying, and we sang to spread messages, they ain't know what we said. Man, I'm proud of my food, my history, and my heritage. Chills go up my spine when I listen to slave narratives. Horrific, worse than anything that you can imagine. Atrocities during Jim Crow, you couldn't even fathom. The way we speak rejects the system, and the way it is, a product of America. I'm tired of spinning. I'm so tired. Call it AAVE. We express our soul when we do speak. I'm so tired. I prefer to call it BAVE. You can hear the feeling when we speak. We speak.
They always played on credit with any person of honor or noble lineage.
Talk to me.
In terms of eligibility, the task force came to a historic 5-4 decision to affirm what we call lineage-based reparations. So those who would be eligible for reparations in the state are those who are descendants of free and enslaved Black people who were here prior to 1900.
That is important to add in there at the end. Camila Moore, thank you so much for being here. We'll have you back when you guys put out your final product and find out what some of these reparations are going to be.
You brush up on your ethnic studies, my brother.
Well, all right. All my people say it with me, yeah, I love my ancestors. Ask them, could they please bless us? Made it under real pressure, love my ancestors. Here because our ancestors, and they'll be telling us to strive. Every day they look death in the eyes and survive, they'll tell us strive. Well, alright. Trying to test us, feel like the world trying to stress us. What came diamonds under the dirt, massive pressure. Tired of waiting for justice. We about fed up political play actions to throw us off, misdirect us. Cannot let up, the ancestors won't let us. No. Who can we turn to the fight for except us? Nobody. Anti-black hate is the thing that is fueling this, trying to use our story to help others be news for them. Them days over. Do they know us? The chosen ones, they tried to break but they fold up. In America sold us. Jim Crow dust. Show what our ancestors built, yeah, they owe us. We are the progeny, we are the prodigies, marching to the Capitol for justice, mobbing deep. Now somebody's watching over our people, it gotta be. Please rest up, protect us, getting strength from my ancestors. All my people say it with me, yeah, I love my ancestors. Ask them, could they please bless us? Made it under real pressure, love my ancestors. Here because our ancestors, and they'll be telling us to strive. Every day they look death in the eyes and survive. They'll tell us strive. Well, alright. Big revolts, Republicans and the Democrats vote for hope. No, we no longer into that. Wealth decreasing, we got eyes, we can see the gap. Youth is teaching, we got wise, we can see the trap. Let's even vote. No longer we can see that. Believing that the being what's off, the only reason that we should go and vote for one side or the other. Both sides neglectors, they nothing but blood suckers. No, you can give us our bread and butter that was made in it out to our forefathers and mothers who made this country what it is today. The pill struggle. Don't support that, let the place turn to rubble. Don't support that, quite honestly, it's fuck you and good luck without the black vote too. Crying cause you gotta suffer through a presidential term. 400 years of that, guess it's someone else's turn. When would they learn? You can get burnt being anti-black, just get with your own. No discussion, that's that. Or we let the train roll with no conductor off the track. Let the country run on the free with no tires. Crash and burn, we know how to survive fires. Reparations, delineations now. What's the Mustang had what they stole? We'll be eating like a mukbang, but they don't. They prefer to see us struggling, easy control when you're powerless from nothing. Ancestors died and it wasn't for something, but all things taken into denial must keep the spirit alive. Black Americans must continue to strive. Be similar to the sun. It's a gift when we arise. Reparation advocates keep applying the damn pressure. Moving with the straight from our ancestors, telling us to strive.
Whether return to the declarations of the past or to the professions of the present, the conduct of the nation seems equally hideous and revolting. America is false to the past, false to the present, and solemnly binds herself to be false to the future. Standing with God and the crushed and bleeding slave on this occasion, I will, in the name of humanity, which is outraged, in the name of liberty, which is fettered, in the name of the Constitution and the Bible, which are disregarded and trampled upon, dare to call in question and to denounce with all the emphasis I can command everything that serves to perpetuate slavery, the great sin and shame of America.
My ancestors didn't get kidnapped, they got sold. Let's keep things real when the story's told. To another group of people who try to break their soul, you know. Let's keep things real when the story's told. My ethnic group is special, everybody know, yeah they know. Let's keep things real when the story's told. East first, we sticking together for what's old, you know. Let's keep things real when the story's told. Fighting against erasure, people wanna replace us, spit, kick dirt on us, but it didn't faze us. Got sold for dead, nobody came to save us. Send us to the pits of hell, somehow we raised up. Pan-Africans in our politics, we laugh at you. And yo, dog, man, do you even live in Africa? Fighting for reparations, everybody want a shoe on. When they treated us like we was floor mess, wipe your shoes on, people tell us to move on. They don't understand the implications of the people you forced to build a nation, gave us Nathan. Now we understanding who we are, it was old. We coming for repair, we ain't playing what you saying. We were never lost, we formed a new group based the pain and the struggle that was staying up just praying. Hoping for a better future, but my pace is smaller than a Mini Cooper driven by an open lens. Ancestors didn't get kidnapped, they got sold. Let's keep things real when the story's told. To another group of people who try to break their soul, you know. Let's keep things real when the story's told. My ethnic group is special, everybody know, yeah they know. Let's keep things things real when the story's told. Lineage first, we sticking together for what's old, you know? Let's keep things real when the story's told. When we break down our lineage, people try to diminish it, acting like we don't exist, having cognitive dissonance. Man, you seen I struggle, the whole world witness it. Don't try to tie yourself to it, you ain't the ones who've been through it. From the plantation group became a moral compass of a nation. The strong signal, connected station. People acting like we ain't got our own ethnicity. Whenever it's darkness, man, we brought in electricity. Never tried to diminish we. We are the ones who labored under the sun before the country begun. And based off that label, the country was founded. It would be non-existent without it. You can't doubt it. We stood on our own 2 feet. Never under you. Being proud of who we are makes people uncomfortable. Cause you see the pain, sins, and greatness of the nation. Now was no time for waiting. Peace, love, and reparations.
Ethnicity is the understanding that a group of people have a shared cultural origin. This could mean something like national origin, or it can be a narrower lens to view people who come from a shared way of life, even if it's within a larger ethnic group. For instance, you can identify ethnically as African American, but also be Gullah, an identifier for people from the coastal regions of South Carolina, among other cultural traits.
Some of what you say sort of implies that you're not terribly concerned about the idea or the ideal of integration. Is that true? I mean, do you look forward to a time when whites and Negroes will be living side by side together everywhere with no regard for color, or do you think that that's a lesson?
Norman, to be realistic, when speaking about integration, there's alienation even within ethnic groups. There's discrimination within ethnic groups. I don't think this is really important. If you treated Negroes as fairly as whites were treated in the country, the power structure treated them, that is, there would be no clamor for integration. I don't think Negroes are too anxious to live among white people. They would just like to have the freedom to live wherever they chose.
While you were talking before, I sensed a certain kind of anger in you and a certain kind of bitterness. Have you changed since the book was written, or am I wrong in my reading of the book?
See, I was bitter. It's natural for any Negro to be bitter towards the white society. But as I was coming up, I was releasing all of my bitterness throughout my childhood. That's what my delinquent activities were all about. You know, it was a rebellion.
It was more rebellion against your parents than against the whites, wasn't it?
No. I stole very little from my parents. They had very little to steal. Yeah, I stole more from the white society.
I mean, you were rebelling against the what? Down home.
I told you, we were rebelling against everything. You know, that's right. You know, from the top on down.
Yeah. I come from a soul people. I come from a. Thank you for listening to the tape. Shout out to everybody from Reset Race. Shout out my boy Tone, MG, Sam, Mud, Morgan, Joey. What's up? I come from a soul people, rise above when they try to say that we low people. Most mimic what those people do, blood and struggle. We built the country, put our best on it, smell good to get funky. We just float and ride over instrumentation, express our joy, our fear, and all our frustrations. We influence the world with our presence and skills. Popular music all comes from songs we made in the fields. How can slaves and their descendants become inspiration for nations that's independent with all the odds that's against us? Had to get in the game and get off the bench, continue to claw our way out of the trench. Sunday mornings, mom's cleaning, it was grits on the pot. Temptations playing James Brown and Spinners in the Four Tops. Best of Motown, Quiet Storm, music from the 70s and 80s smothered my soul like turkey wing gravy. Black households across the country the same way for long. Try to separate us, but through the soul is how we bond. All y'all do is fight each other, y'all be selling those grams. Like COINTELPRO wasn't policy in this land. Do you got a job for my people or a business plan? If not, just be quiet, cause you'll never understand. I come from a soul people, Mike Jackson, Mike Jordan, Mike Tyson, those people. And now you know people. I come from a soul people. I know you want us. I know you want. Get it. in tune with the soul and the rhythm. We didn't have much, we took what was given, and that made us different. Get with our people, good times, we just wanna chill. Summertime, smell the charcoal burning off the grill. Sisters so fine with the outfits on there. Heard you playing spades, talking shit, building like construction workers. Cause we out styling, profiling, riding around, listening to all of Marvin's albums. Feels good, society said it shouldn't, but who cares? Cause we still rise, they said we couldn't. Aim on target like an archer with a fresh pair of arrows. I feel it in my soul, my flesh down in my bone marrow. Cause we deep in the groove, lost in the music is the best. You can't find your way out with Google Maps and GPS. Cause I listen to my mother's music, 90s was my brother's music. I don't care about the years black, then I love the music. We connect the young and the old people through our shared experience, our culture. We soul people, and we soul people. You want it? I'm gone.
Get it? That's alright. Won't you, babe?
Hey, Charlie. Hey, I got the call back from my Uncle Willie. He gonna meet you a few miles outside of Little Rock. He gonna have 100 cases of moonshine for you. Don't stop unless you absolutely have to. Now, if you do gotta stop, take this paper. This got every colored hotel, restaurant, and gas station between here and there. And stay off them back roads, cause them crackers down there, they just looking for a nigga to lynch, man. Hello, remember me? I'm the sharecropper's son. White man tried to lynch me, parents put me on the run to a Midwestern city, settled in the black slum. No opportunities, a criminal without become. And my mentor got sent to prison for 3 years. White SEALs tortured him there. Try to instill fear that no Negro should never have that much power. Came home and retired. Passed me his empire. It's 1926. I think I'm 28. Born on the plantation, don't know the exact date. And I only care about surviving, don't believe in fate. The black part of the city, it's my real estate. Turn my rappers into speakeasies cause it's prohibition. New business opportunities, increase my ambition. Got a big jazz club in the black business district. Biggest Negro stars come near to dance and get lifted. The Irish pose the Jewish mobs is rising into prominence. But the Italians is by far the most dominant. The European mobs, they mostly control the liquor trade. And they want full control over the place the Negro state. Tanya Don says he wants to see me for a deal. So I head to Little Italy. Meet him for a meal, he said to be a Negro, your presence loud in the city. If you wanna operate, then you gotta cut his 50. I calmly put my drink down, looked him in his eyes and said the Poles give you 9 and the Irish give you 5 now. Okay, he gave me more time to decide, but I knew it was a lie. So I walked out the door, me and a few soldiers of mine got in my car, I lit my cigar, knew we were preparing for war. Some Negro great war vests, muscle on my team from Chicago, 4 races, red summer 19. Out our club discussing strategy, commotion spilled the cocktails, Italian shot it up, threw a Molotov cocktail. My guys got hit, but the damages was minor. It's the principle, the disrespect that filled my soul with fire. Yeah, I had to deal with them before I couldn't stop them. Now I got power and them guineas got a problem. Got a crate of 1911s, 2 crates of shotguns. Wanna go to war, so I got 10 crates of Thompsons. We hit them hard, they hit us. They hit us hard, we hit them. But they so surprised, cause a Negro won't give them. Yeah, we almost matched, they got one thing above us, race and lineage. I can't tap into the power structure. They got politicians, police, they even got the BOI. Paying well, they both hate Negroes. That's how they tie. My agent named Jay Edgar got me on the list. Heard he really hate Negroes, so I'm high up on the shit. But I don't give a shit, because I got the word on him. He don't attack Italians, cause they got a lot of dirt on him. Back to the story, Charlie is my young underboss. Sit him get 100 crates of moonshine in Arkansas. Got a connect named Bubba Johnson out in Harlem. If I get it to him, he can move it with no problems, cause it's hot here. Maybe they get something fresh started, cause the mob and law enforcement, I'm their top target. Charlie made it back safe, reconnect at my warehouse. Everything is packed up, no looking back to head out. My lookouts out the cops outside. It's getting worse cause Italians paid them off to come do their dirty work. Looked at Charlie, said I made you the captain. You got it taped over, if anything should happen. Can't leave together, they all got his back then. I leave out the front and I'll be the distraction. So out the back door, Charlie made his escape. And out the front, in the window, I show my face. I ain't running no more, I accepted my fate. My legacy lives on, Charlie made it out safe. We finally got you, Negro, it's nowhere to run. I sat back, slowly loaded up my new Thompson gun. Bust out the gate shooting, what me, you can have that. Then 10 cops shot back, everything went black.
Being one of 20 children, very poor family, sharecroppers in the state of Mississippi, I know what it's like to be hungry. I know what it's like to be without clothes. I know what it's like to be without food. To live in a 3-room house with no washroom facilities, just a 3-room shack. So in my earliest childhood, I remember one day I was playing beside this road and the landowner drove up and he asked me, could I pick cotton? And I told him I didn't know. I didn't know. At 6 years old, I just didn't know. So he told me, I want you to go out in the field, Fanny, and I want you to pick 30 pounds of cotton. But I didn't realize what he was doing other than that, because the next week I was tasked 60 pounds of cotton. By the time I was 13 years old, I was picking 200 and 300 pounds of cotton.
I've been reading about injustice and slavery in America, and it just makes me want to cry.
Wade in the water, cover the scent. Slave catchers tried to track us, they need to repent. Look back on the past and the things that it taught us. We always fought for justice while they fought us. Wade in the water, cover the scent. Slave catchers tried to track us, they need to repent. Look back on the past and the things that it taught us. We always fought for justice while they fought us. Off the plantation, hide in the swamp, filled with alligators, pushed through, wasn't looking for a savior. Lots of college campuses that you go to today, probably stepping over slaves buried in unmarked graves that built the very buildings of the classes that you sit in. Professor teaching eraser, and forget the victims, it's sickening. As long as I'm living, they'll live through me and fight to change the place into a country we don't never see. Pick up a book, granddad got drafted World War II, cause he was Negro, made him a cook, not cause he was shook. Wanted us to say and serve it till we proved it wrong. Tuskegee Airmen, 760 first take with 2. Knew our journey would be tough, we stuck with it. My people wise blooded in the Mississippi where ancestors were baptized. First step is reparations, tie it into wealth creation. Power will come, take our rightful place in our nation. But I'm wading in the water, cover the scent. Slave catchers tried to track us, they need to repent. Look back on the past and the things that it taught us. We always fought for justice while they fought us. Wade in the water, cover the scent. Slave catchers tried to track us, they need to repent. Look back on the past and the things that it taught us. We always fought for justice while they fought us. I pray to my ancestors when I'm searching for strength. Fight for money stolen from them out the freedmen's bank. Cause we descend from those who enslaved in America, and still here we are staying. That's why they wanna bury us, victims of mass hate. Nobody wanna say it, we products of mass rape that was done by the whites. Tell us go back to Africa, we laugh at you, no common sense. I found a 5th white cousin for somebody on the continent. I am not ashamed, those that did it to us should be. Still feeling through the pain when they never thought he could be. Still we getting close to reparations and they coming soon. Apply pressure to these politicians like an open wound. Things that happen to us here. Created gospel blues, jazz and rapping here. That was black Americans, he pushing through the fear. White supremacy like oxygen surround us, ain't gotta see it, but we know it's there, so we wade in the water, cover the scent. Slave catchers tried to track us, they need to repent. Look back on the past and the things that it taught us. We always fought for justice while they fought us. Wade in the water, cover the scent. Slave catchers tried to track us, they need to repent. Look back on the past and the things that it taught us. We always fought for justice while they fought us.
It can't be that hard to reset the system.
Lineage tape. Thank you for listening. And we gone. The heart of darkness you enter. You're dealing with the people who adapted to the hottest summers and the coldest winters. Not talking about the temperature, I'm talking systemically locked out of wealth so we can't cover ourselves. Cities across the nation be lost and never found. It's funny, white flight left our people on the ground after slavery. Try to begin a new chapter, now with zip code Jim Crow. It's still de facto. Outright bondage, illusion of freedom. What's worse, healthy black woman more likely die in childbirth. Defunded schools can't get higher with credentials too. Had to tolerate pain, doesn't make us invincible. They don't want to give resources to the Negro. Keep the playing field skewed, not level and equal. Streets full of homeless black people in the jail. Something ain't right and I can't tell. Damn. What's worse? They locked us out of labor unions. Decades gave us underfunded schooling. Experiments, medical apartheid, permanent underclass, or ethno side. I can decide some days I wanna give up. Seems they don't care, they won't stop till they rid us. But we wouldn't be here if that's how our people did us. Our will to survive forces me to rise and get up. On camera, unarmed, you see police slaughter. Flint and Jackson, Mississippi don't have water. Some of our people left the South for green medals, only to work 60 hours to be stable in the ghetto. We've been here for too long, we always seen trouble, but somehow had to maneuver through the struggle. No time in our lives we look back with nostalgia, cause our land and our homes and our lives are undervalued, I'm saying. And I can tell.
It seems to me that it's a reflection, a direct reflection of the effort made by the white American to keep away, to not be threatened by black people. In some way, the American vision of the world is all wrapped up with their vision of black men, which has to do with their vision of themselves. It is not a Southern problem. It's a national problem. What is happening in New Orleans today began to happen over 100 years ago, when in effect the North, which was the government, having freed tens of thousands of illiterate black men, then made no provision for them, none whatever. None whatever. They were dumped in the body politic, and no one was responsible for them. And they were, of course, immediately political and industrial football for everybody. They were everybody's target. But in a way, black men were very useful to the American, because in a country so absolutely undefined, so amorphous, where there were no limits, no height really, and no depth, there was one thing of which one could be certain. One knew where one was by knowing where the Negro was. You knew that you were not on the bottom because the Negro was there.
This is not goodbye.